I'd like to welcome everybody to the town board meeting, November 14th. Call to order, the Princeton Borough Town Board meeting call to order. Excuse me. Town board meeting's called to order at 7:04. Roll call. Nicole, could you read the roll for us?
Councilmember Pagoli?
Here.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Here.
Councilmember Gray?
Here.
Councilmember Mora? Here. Supervisor Esposito?
Present. Also present is our town attorney, Gerard Parisi. Invocation. I don't see her.
She's here.
Oh, there she is. I'll stand for the invocation.
Father God, we come before you tonight asking for your wisdom, knowledge, and discernment for those representing us to know your will for Princetown. We ask your peace and unity that only you can give. Thank you for working your will in our town. Bless those who represent us and their families. We pray as your word says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We declare this for our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Remain standing for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the floor. At every scheduled town board meeting, the public shall have the right to address the town board during the portion of the meeting referred to as privilege of the floor. Members of the public shall restrict their comments to items of town business. Although there is no official time constraint, speakers should be considerate of others so that all interested members of the public have an opportunity to be heard. There shall be one portion of the meeting dedicated to privilege of the floor near the beginning of each meeting. All remarks and questions shall be addressed to the board. No person shall enter into discussion with a person having the floor. Council members may address any comments during the portion of the meeting referred to as council member comments. Privilege of the floor is opened up at 7:06. Greg?
Hello, my name is Greer Pomeroy. I'm the chair of the Princetown Environmental Advisory Committee, and I'm going to give you a fairly quick report, 2023 report from the committee. We met monthly except in July, September, and upcoming December. The committee produced Recycle Day on April 29th, 2023. 300 seedlings were given out to Princetown residents. A master gardener and Cornell Cooperative Extension representatives were there to answer questions about plants, soil testing, and the Schenectady County Recycles program. 2 representatives from GE Elfin Computer Rehab were there to accept computer parts to be wiped clean and donated to nonprofit organizations. The scrap metal brought in $131.20 for Princetown, and the tire company graciously donated the tire recycling fees of $443.75 to Princetown. A natural history resources inventory for Princetown written by the committee was submitted to the Princetown Planning Board for review. The Planning Board, after careful review, requested revisions which the committee accepted. The Planning Board accepted the document and referred it to the Town Board for approval in August 2023. The Natural Resources Inventory is awaiting the Town Board's approval. Princetown Law Number 1 of 1975 calls for such a document. We are having 2 fall events. One is Kyla Pecoraro from the Schenectady County Cornell Cooperative Extension Recycle Program gave a much appreciated class on food waste composting November 2nd of this year. 7 people attended actively. The committee invited the Red Cross to do a blood drive this coming Saturday, November the 18th, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. There are open appointments. You and your friends can make an appointment by calling 800-733-2767. That's 800-733-2767. Or going on the Red Cross, redcrossblood.org website and using the sponsor code Princetown Town Hall, all one word with capitals on each word. That's it. I read it as fast as I could because I see there are other people who need to speak. And I want to say that I'm retiring from the committee at the end of December, but I feel grateful for the opportunity to serve on the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Any others?
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Patty Marowitz. I live in Pattersonville in Rotterdam, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here at your Princetown meeting. I'm here today to encourage the board to consider a solar moratorium. Currently, Pattersonville has several solar facilities already there, and I just want to let the board know that I am an advocate of nature, natural habitat, and appreciate the rich viewshed that we have there. It's part of the reason that I 2 years ago moved here. Thanks for letting me be at this meeting, even though I'm from Rotterdam. The base of my road is in Princetown. When I drive back and forth every day, when I go one way, I'm in Rotterdam, and the other way, I'm in Princetown. I'm like right on the edge. I would like to reference the comprehensive plan to support the reason why a moratorium should be considered. I'm reading from the Princetown Comprehensive Plan dated 2019. And it says, Princetown is characterized by a widely varied topography with steep slopes and soils which exhibit moderate to severe development limitations. The majority of the soils found throughout the town have severe to moderate limitations for development due to seasonal wetness, slope permeability, slopes, and shallowness. It is noted that a general examination of the soil characteristics cannot supplant a site-specific study for individual project proposals. Soils are likely to exhibit a high degree of variability due to slope, depth to bedrock, drainage, and other related key factors. And I bring that up as evidenced by the project on 160. Water has been rerouted to adjoining properties. A lady that I talked to, her basement has flooded. I think that maybe we should pump the brakes and take a pause and maybe reevaluate the law to protect residents from future issues like that. The majority of the parcels in Princetown, about 60%, are 4 acres or less. 26 are between 5 and 19 acres, and again, this is from the comprehensive plan. 6% are between 20 and 49 acres. There are 34 parcels between 50 and 100 acres. There's 41 parcels greater than 100 acres. 60 of the parcels greater than 50 acres are in the northern half of the town, and 50 are in the southern half of the town. Current law kind of steers projects to the area of town where I live adjacent to, just based on the law, so I don't know if maybe some consideration should be given to that. And the current law excludes properties less than 100 acres. Maybe some consideration could be given to that. A smaller solar field would be maybe easier to conceal than a larger one. So maybe, more folks should be able to have solar on their property. And then from page 30, number 7, As energy costs continue to increase, the town could see the use of sustainable green energy sources. So based on that, it's my opinion, therefore it should be considered if incoming green energy sources provide energy to the town, or if they have no green energy benefit to the town, if the power is just fed to the grid, that it's not kept local. On page 30, number 9, this is what the comprehensive plan says. The public desires to keep Princetown rural with open spaces, a clean environment, and a low-density development. So I'd like the board to have careful consideration that maybe the solar law should be revisited, and more thought should be given to the siting of projects with consideration to the visual impact. You see 160 from, especially now that the leaves are off, from everywhere. People that had, you can see it from everywhere. Page 31, section 11, it talks about goals for the town, and one of the goals is is titled Community Character, and it says, preserve the rural character of Princetown, have agriculture remain farm-friendly by supporting farmlands and encouraging agricultural opportunities. I don't know if, and forgive me if you do, that there's, grants and other things that maybe can support farms. So, I'm sorry that was loud in your ears. Another part of the comprehensive plan continues to say to maintain cooperation, coordination, and mutually beneficial relationships with local, county, state, and federal units of government to ensure open government and public participation in procedures used to resolving future issues. So when I see that, I hope that Princetown will cooperate and be neighborly. We had, the clergy give us some insight today that, just because you're in Princetown and I'm on the other side of the road, or we're all in this together, and we're neighbors, and in the room are, my Princetown family and friends and neighbors. Also attached in what I gave you are, and I don't want to misquote the number, 40 additional folks that support a solar moratorium and consideration to battery energy storage and substations in Princetown. Last time I was here, I brought 15 signatures. That's a total of 55. It was brought to my attention that on the first go-around with 15 folks, some of the folks were not Princetown residents. I just want to say out loud that anybody that signed that either lives across on the Rotterdam side of Rhinex Road, or somebody that lives directly off of Rhinex right in Princetown. So I really appreciate your time and attention, and I hope that you'll give consideration to a moratorium. I am on the Rotterdam Energy Advisory Committee, and if you were to implement a solar moratorium, I would be very happy to cooperate and share. We have compiled a bunch of laws from 15 different municipalities, and share and cooperate in everything that we know and what we've learned. Thank you very much for your time and attention. I appreciate it. And I apologize that I have another engagement that I will probably have to leave before the meeting's over, so I don't want that to be perceived as rude or anything. So thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Hi there, my name is Kimberly Ricker-Scannell, and I also live in the town of Rotterdam. And like Patty, I am on our Energy Advisory Committee. For 54 years, when I look out of my window, I look onto your beautiful town, and it's something that I really enjoy seeing. Mr. Jack Russo had reached out to us at one point, since we're neighbors, to find out how things were going in Rotterdam with our Energy Advisory Committee, and Patty had asked me to take a look at your original solar code that went into place in 2018. So I did, because that's what we've been doing for the past year, is reading solar code and writing solar code. So I'm gonna hand out just a little red line version. I unfortunately didn't print it in red line, but you'll see what I'm talking about. It looks like when the code went into law in 2018, it was actually very good. But it was 2018, so it was before the 2019 Climate Protection Act was put into play, was before the Office of Renewable Energy Siting was engaged, and it was before the 3 battery energy storage system fires happened in New York State, and the governor put together a task force to find out what's going on. As it's written, unfortunately, in 2023, your code is inadequate. I'm not trying to be negative or derogatory. I'm trying to be the voice of reason, and I'm trying to help you protect yourself and protect your residents. Your current code does allow for battery energy storage systems, but it has no guidance for code enforcement. It also does not have any kind of preparedness planning requirements. Any developer could throw down a lithium-ion battery in your town right now, and I'm promising you this is not going to protect you and it's not going to protect your residents. With regard to a solar moratorium, I think it would be in your best interest to mull that over and give some careful consideration to it. In Rotterdam, we ended up leaning on our neighbors in Duanesburg. They went ahead of us. They had a moratorium. They had an energy advisory committee. They were such a very valuable resource to us, and like Patty said, we would like to help you and be that resource to you. We are actually all in this together. When it comes to battery energy storage systems, we as a county are starting to make some reasonable, good, common sense progress. Josh Cuomo and Eric Hess tried to present a resolution to the Schenectady County Legislature where battery energy storage systems would be put on pause until the governor's task force came back and all of us were able to implement whatever findings the task force provided to us. Unfortunately, that has not yet been brought to the floor as a governing body for the legislature to talk about in a committee, but it is something that they are pushing forward with. And people are starting to talk about it. Right now in our county, we have battery energy storage systems that are being placed with zero guidance, none whatsoever. And unfortunately, we failed our first responders. I don't think that your law as written is going to prohibit any solar facility from plopping down a lithium-ion battery. You just don't have the protection in your code. And if you're not training your first responders and you don't have funding for pre-incident planning, you're going to be screwed, okay? And so are your first responders. I think that a moratorium for solar projects in Princetown is probably in everybody's best interest. And again, I would always be more than happy to give up any of my time to help you with that. Thank you.
Any other?
My name is Derek Wilkinson, live on Route 7 in Princetown. Just listening to them and what you might want to fix your laws, like they said, because I live right across the street from the Electric City motorcycle track that you guys let them do that, and to me, nothing was governed. You guys put in a truck route, if I'm correct, then no trucks will be going in and out of the tunnel, and that didn't happen. And Larned ran in and out of there for a week and collapsed the basins in the tunnel and inconvenienced all the residents of not going through the tunnel for a week and a half, let alone the hole that I found in there in the middle of the night, and called the county to come plate it so nobody got hurt. Since they fixed it, I've watched probably half a dozen lowboy trucks stop in Route 7 and unload equipment and drive it through the tunnel on the brand new fix that cost all of us a bunch of money. ENCON was ended up called on them because they weren't following protocol on site work. They were digging next to the creek and putting piles of dirt next to the creek, no silt fence, no nothing. I just feel that you guys don't have the people to monitor what they're doing. And I called Blue and told you about Larned's trucks, and your response to me was, what are you supposed to do? We don't have police here. But we do, and you promised the residents no traffic through the tunnel, like I said, and it wasn't upheld, and it ended up inconveniencing everybody for almost 2 weeks. And they should be monitored better. And all the other problems on 160 that you guys have. And I see just a lot of problems I see living right across the street from what they did up there. And it wasn't kept after like you guys said you were gonna keep after them about the trucks and everything. So maybe consider a moratorium and figure out, or let the state that, if anything, worst case, let them watch them because they have the means to do it. So that's it. I just wanted all the problems with this one I wanted to say. Thank you.
Any others?
Hi there, my name is Nancy Byrill, and I have nearly 140 acres on Rhinex Corners Road. I've lived on Rhinex Corners Road for 21 years, and I moved to this beautiful community because it's rural, and I have a horse sanctuary. I operate a not-for-profit organization that is nationally known and visited by people from around this country. And when people come to Rhinex Corners Road and they come to my farm, it's just a little, it's a beautiful place that's rustic. It's not fancy, but it's beautiful. And it's beautiful because of our landscape. It's beautiful because when people come to visit, and perhaps they're there for therapy, perhaps they're there for a cancer retreat, perhaps they're volunteers from around the capital region, Saratoga County. They come, and as they drive in the gates and they drive up Rhinex Corners Road, a feeling of peace comes upon them. My concern is, one, as a property owner, and if commercial solar complex goes in near my farm, which I believe there's one proposed, actually 2, what is that going to do to my property values? 21 years, I've been on Rhinex Corners Road. This is going to be across the street, folks. What's it going to do to my property value? What's it going to do to my business? And what's it going to do to the people that come to my business for emotional and social support? I worry about not just me, I worry about all of us on Rhinex Corners Road. Those people that have young children, perhaps seniors, and the construction vehicles. I used to own a commercial construction company and spent a lot of time on commercial sites. And if Rhinex Corners Road or any areas off of Rhinex Corners Road, like 160, have that type of commercial industrial traffic, it's gonna cause damage to all of us. That traffic is not what Rhinex Corners Road was built to do. So I'm available. I'd love to talk more to know what is the impact on my property value, on my neighbor's property's values. When I talked to the town in the past about when I got my right to farm law, which took about 16 months to get many years ago, but knowing that green space and pastures and farmland was so important to Princetown, to the residents, and also to the members of the board. That's what I love about Princetown. I think that's why we're all here. So thank you for considering a moratorium on solar. We want to keep our area green and safe. Thanks.
Thank you. Any others?
Hello, my name is Vicki Proper. I live on Scotchbridge Road. I don't have anything written to report on, but I appreciate the people that have come here today to share all the research that they've done. Questions have been raised about what we currently have in place. I would just like my name recorded as somebody that is definitely in favor of the moratorium. And if I have to sign something, I don't know the proper way to do that, but I'm just saying that I'm here. I have concerns. I had concerns before I heard everything that was presented. Love the rural. I've been in Princetown most of my life. So for all those reasons, I just, on the record, that I would like to see that moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Mara, Highway Superintendent. I have nothing to say related to that. Norman Skill Drive. Drew called me, lives down there. And the other neighbors down there, the resident house down the end of the street where the disabled kids, the workers are racing up and down the road. And they want us to do something about it. I know you talked to them, Lo. We're not getting any results. Ralph Santoro, who's going to be the new highway superintendent next year, he was talking to me. And he was talking about maybe putting one of them signs down there that tells the people their speed limit that the sheriffs have. I haven't called the sheriffs yet. I'm gonna. And see if they can put something down there, or maybe get patrols down there and try to stop it.
What road is that on?
Norman Skill.
Good, good.
They're racing up and there's 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. They're going way faster than that down there. There's kids on the road. It's causing a hazard. So that's my report on that. So I'll get a hold of the sheriffs and see if we can do something to slow the traffic down.
If you want, I can call that, you know, too.
Yeah, that might be good. All right, I know a couple sheriffs I was gonna call over there. Okay, that's it.
Any others?
Hi, James Nelson, Sterling Road, Pattersonville, Town of Princetown. I just wanted to add to what they've said about the solar facilities and ask that you consider looking at the solar laws. There's been a lot of new information that's come over since they were made. The concern about property values. There was a study that was done this year, early this year, that did show decreases in property values due to solar farms. And I believe, I've read so many articles, it's hard to keep them all separate at this point. But especially if you can see them, when you can see them right out next to the roads is when they have their most impact. And one of the articles I read was talking about the fact that screening is extremely important and distance away from roads. So when you can't see it, it's much more palatable. If you go up out of Amsterdam on Route 30 and you get up past Home Depot and all up there, there's solar fields way out in back, but they're way off the road and they have planted trees in front of them, so they're very hard to see, so you don't even really know they're there. I am not anti-solar total. I have solar panels on my barn and I generate my own electricity, well, most of what I use, but I also know how they're not performing. When the sun's not out, when there's snow on them, the smoke in the air this year caused problems, decreased production. So they're just not a good technology. The plant on 160, which it is, it's a power generation plant. I'm told it's owned by Goldman Sachs. So why has Goldman Sachs got a power plant on 160? It's not because they want to generate power for us. I've been told that big companies like that you need to have an environmental rating in order to be able to get international money and stuff. So in their portfolios, if they have solar farms or things that generate green energy, it looks great for them and it increases their ratings. So they can get more money that way because they're environmentally friendly. Is it possible that Goldman Sachs has that property and that solar farm to get their good rating, regardless of what the power that they put out? I don't know if that's true or not, but it's something to think about. Mrs. Rickard talked about the support to first responders. That's something that's a hot button for me. The town's getting $30,000 a year. The fire departments in the town have increased liability. The town doesn't have any town tax, but they do have fire tax. Everybody pays a little bit of money out of their bill every year to support the fire departments in the town. So now these companies come in, they put in these large solar companies, and if they drop battery storage units in, that's great, but they don't pay any taxes to the fire departments for this because they're just making an in lieu of payment to the town under a host agreement. So now our fire department, we're set up to fight small residential fires. We're not set up for commercial stuff. We don't have hydrants up in that area where we do have the battery storage, which is the county-owned thing. And so,
Where is that?
the old landfill, Rotterdam Town landfill, they put in a solar farm and they put in 3 lithium-ion battery storage units there, and then across the river in Glenville. What's that?
It's Rotterdam.
Yeah, no, that's the county. The county has, I think, 9 facilities.
Used to be good.
Rotterdam owns the property, the county and General Electric own
The solar
the
site.
solar farm. Glenville benefits from the electricity generated, so does Rotterdam. There are 3 lithium-ion batteries there. They went in 2021.
And there's 5 over in Glenville, at the old Glenville landfill there. But we were never told that they were there. We had to inquire and found out just what was there. But what I'm getting at is that we have a greater exposure now, and we have no financial income to change that. So who's paying for that when we have to go out and increase or upgrade our equipment is the town people who are in our tax base. So they're getting 0 benefits from the electricity, especially from the 160 plant, and they're gonna end up having to pay more in taxes because it's gonna cost us more to be able to provide the fire protection that's deserved for these commercial entities. You know, you could say, well, they don't burn very much, or, you know, information really isn't out there that much. There hasn't been a lot of research done on solar facilities and the fire service. There was another article that was put out, and the reason that they came to that conclusion is there's very little written about it. If there was more written about it, there'd be show the sign that there's more interest in it. So there's really not a lot of information out there. The county has offered some training for that, and the solar companies we've been dealing, they've given us some training. Training's great, but if you don't have the tools, what good is it? And all you can do is stand there and say, oh yeah, if we had that, without the money, what do we do? So there needs to be some kind of arrangements. Put the fire departments, have them included in a host agreement or something so that they can get some money out of this stuff. Landowners are making thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on these things. They're making huge incomes on these things. The solar companies are making all kinds of money on this stuff. The towns and the upkeep and maintenance to go with this stuff is getting nothing in the big picture. So I think you need to review your solar laws, put together a committee, and see what's going on here, because in the end, it's gonna cost the taxpayer a lot more money than what it is now, I think. So, then there's a whole list of other stuff I could probably go into, but Mr. Jack Russo there has a whole list. I've talked to him a few times, so he can give you more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Hi, my name is Kyle Quinn. I live at 807 Sanborn Road. You know, opposite end. I'm technically in the town of Rotterdam. I support the moratorium. I just wanted to bring something to the attention because they talk about property values and everybody has hit on it tonight, but we actually have a neighbor near us that the proposed solar farm would have been basically surrounding their property on 3 sides. Even though we have a moratorium in Rotterdam right now, it was enough to scare these people to uproot their family, their home. They sold and moved. I mean, that's something that really hits home to a lot of people. I mean, how many people look, you know, you look at your home, that's your home. A lot of people buy a house. I bought my house, I built my house thinking I was gonna live there for the rest of my life, which I still plan on it. But imagine living somewhere and starting to put work into it and then having something that's basically to a point out of your control coming right next to it. And then you actually go through the process of listing your house and selling it and moving somewhere else. So that's, I don't know, that's a pretty, it's a really pretty powerful statement if you ask me. So anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Hi, my name is Jesse Downing. I live on Sterling Road, Pattersonville, or Princetown. And I just wanted to voice my support for a moratorium for many of the issues that everyone else had mentioned. I moved here in 2016, and a couple personal notes about the solar farms. I don't know if there is any data to back up the property value things such as the last gentleman mentioned, but I really like the rural nature of Princetown, and it probably would have been a dissuading factor if there were solar farms everywhere when I moved in. Additionally, I'm a first responder member of Pattersonville Fire Department, and I have some concerns about just the lack of preparation for how we're set up for the whole thing. And just in general, I just wanted to voice my support of the moratorium, and yeah, just it doesn't seem like it's a really good deal for everyone as it is right now. So thank you.
Thank you. Any others? No others? Okay, we'll close up the privilege of the floor at 7:41. Okay. Nick already gave his report, and we'll address this at the, under council member concerns, just what everybody's talked about tonight, so. We've got bills to pay. As soon as we do that, then we'll discuss that. Highway, Nick has already given us his highway report. Water. Let's see, October 2023, gallons pumped 1,902,200, maximum daily use 110,400, minimum daily use 36,600, daily average 61,400. We have the following water main breaks again. 1024 water main break, Windy Hill Road, Larned repaired the water main the next day. Flushing hydrants this month, 3/4 of the town has gotten all generators of fuel for the winter and will be serviced this month. 2 new water services were added to our water system and were inspected. Sills Hill Road and River Church Road. General maintenance performed this month. I will continue flushing hydrants, making and inspecting water main valves, generator to be serviced, generator room to be painted. Respectfully submitted. Good work. We did have another water main break on Muriel Peterson Drive. Any questions for, and by the way, we did interview someone tonight who has a license to help Rick out on the weekends. He's been working 7 days a week, so it looks like we're gonna be hiring him. Jim left?
To the bathroom.
No. So, any questions? Okay. Code enforcement. Let's see. Building inspector's monthly report, total permits 2, permits issued 2, Inspection fees collected, $234. Building inspection 6, zoning review 2, fire inspection 0, final building inspections 1, certificate of occupancy 0, bank deposit report $234, check to supervisors, checkbook balance as of November 14, 2023, $9,316.24. Activities in zoning 2, working on planning and zoning as needed, working on permit final inspection as needed, reviewing plans as needed. Thomas Marini, building inspector. Any questions? Discussion?
No.
Ben? Okay. Ben, you're up.
We had the other rabies clinic on the 4th of November. It was successful for the county. Not as many as the previous one that we hosted, but that was the last one of the year. Still waiting on word from APF on when the kennel's gonna open up, so if we do get a dog that we can't identify, we can have it taken to the shelter. And currently, there's nowhere to put the dog if we do get one, so we're kind of in limbo right now until they get the kennels straightened out. Luckily, it's been quiet. Haven't had any calls other than one up on Mabin Road for a couple of dogs that were wandering. He was going to reach out on social media to see if he could find the owners, which he never got back to me, so I think he did locate the owners. That's it.
Any questions for Ben?
No.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Hey.
Buildings and grounds, we've been working on our heating system. It's finally repaired. The air conditioning units the new air conditioning units have been installed. The heating system's working good now. So other than that, everything else is good. It needs a lot of work on a state police building, but that's another topic for another day. And our town clerk, give us any report.
She didn't leave me anything, but she left me Michelle's.
Yeah, go ahead and read what she said.
This is from the judge. This month's report to audit and control will be about $13,000. This is a good month. Also, the court received about 101 tickets for the month of October. I have completed my yearly judicial training, which encompasses 12 credit hours of advanced courses, including ethics, new legislation, and bail reform, contracts, property maintenance code, and municipal ordinance, name only a few. This is a required yearly and completed certificate is filed with the town clerk of the municipality. Respectfully submitted, Michelle Miller.
Any questions for Michelle? Okay, thank you. And do we have anything from the town clerk? Our town clerk is on vacation this week. She's in Florida, so
No, she didn't leave me.
she didn't leave me anything. Okay, public hearings on budget. We'll open the public comment open at 7:47. Any takers? Okay, close the public comment hearing up at, oh, go ahead.
I'm curious, where does the payment in lieu of taxes from the solar facility show up on the revenues?
I can't hear you.
It doesn't right now because it won't show up until it's hooked up to and generating power, which it is not. So we probably won't see that until sometime in 2024.
Okay, we'll close up the public hearing. Oh, you got a question?
Oh, I was just going to follow up on the payment in lieu of taxes for,
We don't have taxes.
I'm sorry.
host
With your host agreement, all right, is the new Part N revenue that was passed in this year's budget affecting how you're able to get any money for your town with solar developers?
We've always ran a positive budget even without solar revenue. I think that's what you're getting at with that question. I don't know if I understood you correctly, but.
I just wasn't sure if the new methodology had to be implemented in your town with the way that you go about getting money from solar developers, because I know that the methodology that was being used is no longer allowed to be used because of something called Part N revenue that was passed in the budget. I didn't know if that had an impact on you?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We do host agreements.
I see.
So, we don't have a town tax, so we can't do pilot agreements. And so we just negotiate with them to make a payment that is a teeny tiny
Waynesburg
fraction
just
of what
got
they
passed their solar law and they passed a host agreement.
Who did?
Doing in lieu of taxes.
Who?
Waynesburg, they're doing a host agreement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any others then? And we'll close up the public hearing at 7:49. All right, to enact a moratorium on review all zoning laws and applications related to home use occupations. This has got to do with, somebody wanted to open up a business on one of our residential roads. And apparently there's, in our zoning, it really doesn't relate to this type of a business. It's an auto repair business. So we'll open up a public comment period at 7:50.
Is it auto repair or auto sales?
Auto repair.
So this is a person that wanted to use their residential home to do auto repairs. That's a business.
Yes. He has a business in another town, but he wants to bring the vehicles home and do his work in a residential area outside of his garage. And our zoning law doesn't really say anything about that.
Very ambiguous, that's why we're doing this. We gotta redo it.
Yeah, it just gives a list of things that you can do, of allowed uses in the town, but then there's no process. What do? You just do what you want, or, it says, follow these guidelines, but then there's nothing to get approved. There's no approval process. So that's the whole point of changing that, to add an approval process. So people can have some kind of guidance, because, whether there's people, you sell Avon out of your house, you just do office work at your house, that's one thing, but then if you let somebody have a repair shop out of their house, what's to say that there's not gonna be a line of cars down the street waiting for repairs in a development? So that's the whole purpose, just to give this guy guidelines, and whoever else wants to do something like that in a residential area.
So kind of like a moratorium looking for solar.
Okay, any others? Then we'll close that public hearing at 7:52. Meeting minutes, we hereby resolve the meeting minutes of October 10th, regular town board meeting are approved or as amended. Discussion.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? Paul?
Councilmember Goldie?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Approval of the 2024 Princetown budget. Whereas the 2024 preliminary budget of the town of Princetown was filed with the town clerk on October 10th, 2023, whereas the town board of Princetown duly held a public hearing on the 2024 preliminary budget, including the general fund, water fund, highway funds, Fire Hill, Pattersonville, Pine Grove, the Waynesburg Fire District, along with 2024 water and sewer assessment rolls, approved by the town board and filed with the town clerk, and heard all persons desiring to be heard on the matter, whereas the town board adopted the 2024 preliminary budget at the town board meeting on October 15, 2023. Now therefore be resolved that the 2024 preliminary budget is as presented, is hereby adopted and established as the 2024 final adopted budget for the town of Princetown for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2024. Be it further resolved that the 2024 final adopted budget shall be spread upon the minutes of this town board meeting in its entirety, and the town clerk shall prepare and certify as provided by law, duplicate copies of the said 2024 final adopted budget hereby adopted, and deliver one of such copies to the supervisor of the town and one copy to the county legislature of the county of Schenectady as required by law. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Nicole?
Councilmember Bowley?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes. Resolution passes. Okay.
Read this whole thing and just
Yeah,
do
I
the basic
don't
part.
think we want to read this whole thing. Do you want to read this whole thing?
No.
Okay, this is for the local law adopting a moratorium on home occupancy use application. I got it.
You don't have to.
Well, the summary is very simple. Right now, it's extremely ambiguous. It doesn't make sense. We have no authority. We need to redress it. We're going to do that. Take some time. That's the reason for the moratorium, so we have the time to work on it. Very simple. I mean, if you want us to read everything, we can do it. I can't because my voice is shot. But if anybody needed it, we could, but I don't think it's necessary. Having said that, I'll make the motion that, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think the one thing that needs reading is that the moratorium is for a period of 4 months. That's what it says on the page.
Yeah, that'll give us enough time to work on this.
The motion, is there a
I'll
second?
make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Nicole?
Councilmember Bowley?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. General funds claim, hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 186 through 210 in the amount of $28,226.44. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember
Nicole?
Bowley?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Water funds claims, and hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 125 through 139 in the amount of $4,030.02. Discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
No, okay, you second.
Nicole?
Councilmember Bowley?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. All right, council members' comments?
I got one more.
Oh,
There's the trusted agency one.
Trust in.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Trust and agency funds, is hereby resolved, the town board approves claim number 14 in the amount of $1,980. Discussion? Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Nicole?
Councilmember Bowley?
Yes.
Councilmember Jack Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Okay. It did come to my attention, I know everybody's here to talk about the solar that's going on. It did come to my attention about that. I completely forgot about it, about this battery storage. As I stated in the last meeting, I am not in favor of any type of battery storage in this town whatsoever. I know that the state has put a hold on it for a while. I have got, and I'm sure the board, I've talked to the board about this a little bit. Everybody up here is opposed to having this. I don't know if the state's gonna force this on us in the near future, but we are opposed to it, and if we review the solar law, certainly I would make a recommendation to remove it. We don't want to have any part of it until the state comes out and says we have to do it, which they probably will do at some point. As far as the project up on Renix Corners Road. I did receive an email today from the company VC Renewables, that they're developing this project up on Renix Corners Road, and that dead-end road in through there that goes into Rotterdam. They asked me to call them. I did. I didn't have any idea what it was about at the time. We had a lengthy discussion. I said we were not interested in doing anything that had to do with Rotterdam. They don't have a solar law yet. As far as I'm concerned, if it's a joint project, we don't know what there is. They're not going to be the lead agency. If the project is in Princetown, we would probably have to review it. But as far as it stands right now, I cannot see us being involved with anything to do with Rotterdam. He did say to me that he wanted to meet with us to discuss this, and I said there was nothing to meet about because we don't have it in our law that we're going to be merging with Rotterdam about anything with solar. He did say that he met with the supervisor and the planner in Rotterdam, and this has been going on for a year with their moratorium. He says, and I get the impression from you that you're not interested in this, and I said, no, we're not. And he said to me, he indicated to me, so everybody out there understands this. He says, we have enough land now to increase this project to over 20 megawatts, and if need be, we are going to go to the state to get their approval, and we're going to bypass the towns. He says, we haven't made that decision yet, but we are going to do that if we need be. If Rotterdam puts in another moratorium, it's already been a year, he said, we will definitely be considering that, and we're just waiting. He said, we wanted to work with you guys. I said, this is the first I heard of it. He said, we wanted to work with Rotterdam about this. He says, we did not even want to come to Princetown. He says, we were only going to do this in Rotterdam. I forgot the name of the road now, I know where it is, but he said that we were only going to do this in Rotterdam. The landowner in Princetown approached them and wanted to be involved in it. That's why Princetown is involved in it. And I said, we can't be involved with this because if it's not in Princetown, you got to go by what we have. And he said, we're going to merge these properties together, and we're going to, if need be, we're going to be considering going to the state, depending on if Rotterdam puts another moratorium in. It's already been in for a year. I've been doing a lot of research on this. This is all over the internet with these things. He asked me something about our solar ordinance, and I said, you have to have 100 acres, and he said to me, I've never heard of that. You're the only town in probably New York State that has a law that says you have to have 100 acres.
No, I found other municipalities with.
Then he said to me, as I reviewed this laws, there's a judge already ruled on it, Supreme Court judge. They said 75, one town said 75 acres, and they said 75 acres was not reasonable. They also, somebody stated, this Office of Renewable Energy Sightings, the previous governor put this in to override town law. And for everybody that doesn't know it, I found on the internet, there's another senator in the state that's proposing a law for solar to take away more of the town's rights concerning solar. That's being proposed already in your state legislators, which we have nothing to say. Unfortunately, we're not the ones who make the laws in this state. The state is what's doing it. Your governor wants this, your state legislators want this. I did not want this at all. Everybody on this board was opposed to this. We were forced into this. As far as the battery, I'm totally opposed to that. Rotterdam said it was okay, but that's their doing over on Burdick Street. I've got nothing to say about what Rotterdam does. But for everybody to understand, this company is going to be going, they didn't say for definite. I told them I was going to tell the people here tonight. I don't lie to anybody about this. They said that they were going to go to the state, if need be. They're all done waiting for a 12-month moratorium. They're not going to bother with this. If they put in another moratorium, we're certainly going to consider it. We haven't made that decision yet. You can tell everybody that.
So what's the disadvantage of them going through the state? Say they step over both towns, Rotterdam and
That's
Princeton.
what they're gonna do.
So what is the,
Then the towns have nothing to say about any
you
of it.
barely have
No.
anything to say right now about what goes on.
Privilege of the floor are over, privilege of the floor are over. That's what they told me
The
they were
state
gonna do.
process,
They're gonna go increase the megawatts to over 20 megawatts.
Okay,
To
the
go-
permit process for the state is significantly more detailed than ours is. The oversight is more than us. Let them go through the state.
That's what they're gonna
They're
do.
gonna do it.
Fine. All we can control is our solar law. Talking about them overstepping us and going to the state is a moot point. We can only control what we can do. If they're gonna do that, doesn't matter.
The
That's what I
states
just
wanna
said.
come and tell you eminent domain, and they'll do whatever they wanna do.
I just want everybody to know that we got nothing to do with that, what they're gonna do.
That we won't have anything to do with. But like, I understand where you're coming from, where you're saying, you know, that's the state, yeah, they're gonna come in, they're just gonna take over. But what you're saying is, what's in our law is just for, you know, the
Less
smaller.
than
What he also told me, he said, we wanted to work with the committee in Rotterdam, nobody is interested in it. We wanted to work with you guys, now you're telling me you're not interested in it. He says, so if need be, this is what we're gonna have to consider.
The only bright side of them doing that is if it's a harder process to get approved, it's probably gonna be more loops to go through.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
probably
They know
gonna be
that.
very
He
strict.
told me
You know what I'm
that.
saying? It's probably gonna be even more restricted than the state, and maybe that's the only hope that maybe it will be.
He did tell me though, that he said this was not, we were not anticipating coming into Princetown whatsoever. This was only gonna be up on that dead end road over there. He says, this other landowner approached us and wanted to be a part of it. Now that we have the land, he said, we can increase this to well over 20 megawatts. And if that's what we have to do, that's what we will probably end up doing. I just wanted everybody to be aware of that out there, that it's got nothing to do with us when this happens. There's nothing we can say about it.
In April
Am I opposed to solar? I think it's a pipe dream to me. I think this electric vehicles thing is a pipe dream. I think it all is a pipe dream. Because what they want to do is take all of this power that they're generating, gonna generate up here and send it down to New York City, because 95, what I found out on the internet, 95% of the power generated comes from natural gas in New York City. That's why they put these other power lines down through, which we had nothing to say about. They built that building up over Weiss Road, and we had nothing to say about it, because it was, what do they call it? Utilities, maintenance exemptions. Public utilities maintenance exemptions. This is what they call it, and we had nothing to say about that building that they built up there. They didn't even talk to us about it, they just came in and said,
I live on Easter Road, I don't.
that's
Reynolds Road.
Reynolds Road, excuse me, Reynolds Road. They didn't, they did come to us and say that they were gonna put, as I said at the meeting, they were gonna put some shrubs up around it. That's all they told us, and they asked us what kind of shrubs we wanted, after they built the building. This is why they put these power lines down and start sending all that down to there. They got 3,000 acres they're taking over in Montgomery County, which is not a direct neighbor of us, but very close in the town of Glen, with a 250 megawatt project. 250 megawatts, 3,000 acres, 3,000 acres. Like I say to everybody, why don't you try eating solar panels instead of farms? Take good farmland away to do this. Doesn't make any sense to me. But I consider a farm as crops, dairy. I don't consider a farm a solar farm. To me, that's not a farm. Towns have been fighting this, and every time they fight it, they lose it. And we certainly don't have the funds to try to take them to court, which we would lose anyway.
I got evidence of court cases right here where they said a town's rules were too restrictive, they took them to court, and the town lost, and they had to pay a lot of money to do it. By the way, on April 3rd, 2020, the state enacted the Accelerated Renewable Energy Growth and Community Benefit Act. This is the state of New York. What they want is 70% renewable energy by 2030, 70%. That's what the state wants, that's what the feds want. So it's not what the town of Princetown wants, but guess what? We're like we're not even a speck on this. You wanna fight this thing, you gotta fight the state and the federal government.
You should be talking to your state legislators.
What does
This is
this
who you
have to
should
do
be
with
talking to.
updating our solar law?
I didn't say anything about updating our solar law. I'm telling you what's happening.
What is a
You should be
lawsuit in
talking.
another town
You
or
should be
state?
talking to the state legislators about doing this. You shouldn't be coming and thinking that we can stop this, because we can't. You should be talking to, name one, either side of the party. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Name one state legislator who's come out against this solar. 2 years ago, not this last election, everybody voted for this solar nonsense, this green stuff in their propositions. 62, or I thought it was 67, I looked it up, it's 62% of the people in Schenectady County voted for this. Either they don't know what they're voting for, or they wanted it, that's all I can say. I always vote no on these propositions, because if the state puts something up, I grab my wallet, because I know they're gonna be sticking their hands in it. They voted for this school thing over here. That's just what we need, is the schools to take on more debt. But who's gonna pay for that? The taxpayers. Over $50 billion was given from the federal government to increase all of this renewable energy. How much money is the state putting into this? I have no idea, but they're putting in an awful lot of money to get this stuff through. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't believe in these electric cars. I only see one politician out there that has said anything about this. Not congressmen, senators, none of them even talk about this. One person has, and he's running for president again, and that's Trump. He's the only one that's come out and said anything about this, about not having all of this solar crap and all of this renewable energy. Talk to any of them. Do you see any of them saying anything? Nothing, not a word from them. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, none of them are saying anything about it. They just go along with it because they don't want to be involved with it, because they think over here, oh, it's against it, we're gonna save the planet. As Jim says, how many solar panels do you see on these Russian tanks? How many electric vehicles do you see over there? How many state police cars do you see are electric? What are you gonna have over there with dump trucks trying to plow the roads? What are you gonna have, 10 dump trucks where you can have one with a plow on it? That's what you're gonna have. Oh, every 5 hours we gotta go charge the truck up. I mean, this is just pipe dreaming stuff.
What do you do up north, plug it in at curb?
Yeah, I mean, this is just, don't park your car in the garage, just plug your car in over there. and catch fire. You gotta pull it out in the garage, you gotta put it out in the parking lot to do this. Now they're coming up with time of use meters in the state.
So can we go back to like just our solar law?
What do you want to talk about?
Okay.
See, our solar law means nothing.
Everybody up here is against solar. We've talked about that a lot.
Let's abolish the solar law.
What's that?
Let's abolish the solar law. Would you get rid of it?
Listen, I've done a lot of research, I have looked at other municipalities' solar laws. This one was written in 2018. In the last 5 years, a lot of information has changed. I would like to see the 6-month moratorium that we had talked about, so that we can update this a little bit. There are a lot of things that we can change, one of them being the battery storage. But part of the issue with our law is a lot of the wording is kind of vague. We can be a little bit more specific, adjust setbacks a little bit, talk about vegetation in a more specific manner. We can do something for our first responders so that if a solar company comes through the town, we have a law that is better for us. I don't think anybody in here knows that solar is like gonna go away. I think people get that. As much as we don't want it in the community, we know it's going to be here. So put this 6-month moratorium in place, let us get to work. I've already talked to you about a lot of the changes that we can make. Anthony Torrey and Doug Cole are gonna look at our solar law and also make some recommendations, and let's update it. Rotterdam had a solar law, I know they did, right? And then you guys put the moratorium in place and updated it?
It was the NYSERDA template that most upstate New York towns had, 3.5 pages. Yours was more comprehensive.
All 4 pages of it?
Yeah, you had like half more than we did.
Right.
But here's our new one. I mean, we're at 35 pages.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say more is better, but you have to prove, the developer has to prove why Rotterdam's setbacks are an undue burden. Oris has to take that into consideration. So even when they go to the state, they still have to pay attention and it would give all your residents a little bit more of a foothold to go and say stuff to the state. It matters. Your code matters.
Okay, so you wanna put a moratorium on it?
Yes.
I got no objection to it for 6 months.
Okay.
Go in there, but just to let you know, town board. Oh, we didn't vote on it yet.
Yeah, but you said
Town
it.
board picks who's gonna be on the committee. It can't be, it's gotta be a Princetown residents.
Yes, I understand it.
Yeah.
Listen, Crystal wants to, I want to, there's other people that I've talked to who are interested. I'm sure Jamie Nelson would be interested, especially from the first responder point of view. We can get together 5 Princetown residents. I understand that while we can use other laws as templates, that it needs to be done by people here. It's the right idea. It needs to be updated.
But
5
this
years is a
isn't
long
gonna help
time.
us in Renix Corners. You know
If they
that.
go to the state, they go to the state. It wouldn't matter if our solar law banned solar farms. If they go through the state, we have no say. I think people
Well, that-
understand that.
I hope everybody understands that.
I have other recommendations. The town of Wilton has no town tax. Besides a host agreement, they have a public benefit fee. We need something for our first responders, for our community.
And you do have a fee. You have a per square inch fee per solar panel. It's in your zoning law.
That is the permit fee. I don't think that
Yeah,
is
but
the-
it's still a pretty hefty, substantial
Right,
fee.
but that comes to the town. They have like a public benefit fee. It
Yeah.
has to be put in a separate account.
Yeah.
Parks, whatever it may be, I
Glenville
don't
too.
know. They haven't been challenged in court by that yet. Might they be? Sure, but there's components of our law and any law really that could probably be challenged. So yes, I'd like to see the moratorium in place. Give us 6 months to update this a little bit. A lot has changed, and I think it will be better for the community overall. If they go through the state, they go through the state. It wouldn't matter what our solar law said.
I just want everybody to understand that's what's gonna happen with this eventually.
It may, and that is a completely different issue that we have no power over, but we have power over our solar law and the requirements that we have. Another thing that we've talked about is we have all part-time employees here. You can have the solar company pay for an inspection firm that we hire, not them, that does all of the inspections. It's a good thing to add. It gives us a little more control versus what has happened on 160, which has been largely out of our control. Several issues up there. So I won't say anything else if you guys are going to support this moratorium and let us get to work. Otherwise,
It's up to the rest of the board here.
otherwise you're going to hear from me every meeting
No,
for the next 4 years.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not keen on solar, but what I am very keen on, is my fiduciary responsibility to every taxpayer in this town. And I'll tell you something right now, if your solar law is too prohibitive, you're gonna go and get sued, just like this town did. I researched the lawsuits today.
I already did.
They're multiple. We don't have the money to pay attorneys to fight this. And we had a professional lawyer in Buffalo design our law. None of us here are lawyers with the exception of right here next to me. And the reality is, you can't be too prohibitive, because then you're asking for litigation which we can't afford. Our entire budget is $400,000. You could spend $400,000 fighting stuff overnight.
That's $700 an hour.
And we have an obligation to the town of Princetown to protect the taxpayer. So, it's not that we're being mean or we're being this or being that. We have other responsibilities other than solar. And one of them is protecting every taxpayer in the town.
We also have a responsibility to the community. I understand the finances are important, and I'd be curious about some of the lawsuits. Can you say something, please? I know normally we don't, but
So the towns that have gone up against the Office of Renewable Energy siting, such as the town of Copiague, yeah, they have lost, and they have fought pretty hard. But they are the ones that brought forth the litigation against the Office of Renewable Energy siting. And it wasn't so much about their code, it was in part for municipal home rule, that the town of Copiague should have that right. And I'm sure that Mr. Parisi could also enlighten you a little bit with some of that litigation.
I cannot, I know nothing about it.
do you know anything about
I do
Coxsackie?
solar
But we'll
law.
have lunch tomorrow.
I'm not a solar attorney, the town had its own attorney when they did the solar law.
Right, and it was 2018, and that was before the 2019 climate protection plan was put into place.
We're not opposed to tweaking a little bit, taking out the battery stuff. But I'm telling you, if it becomes too prohibitive, if you say, listen, you want to put solar here, you gotta dress up in a clown suit and jump through hoops.
Come on.
They're gonna sue us.
You don't have to make it too prohibitive.
you can still
You got a
protect
second
yourself.
It is prohibitive as it is.
You're right
but
though,
there's
Mr.
things that
Cavalli,
need to
you're
be
right.
changed, you know?
But
How
you
many
can have
acres is
reasonable
the 160
protection.
project, the actual solar panels?
How many acres are they on?
Yeah, out of the 100 plus that's on that property, how many is
No idea.
70 something, 80 something,
30 if you're talking.
I don't think it's that much.
30?
Acres?
I don't think it's that much.
It's 20 megawatts, it's probably over 100 acres.
It was supposed to be 150.
Yeah, it's 100 to 150.
So one of the things we can adjust a little bit is setbacks. We have a 50-foot setback. You're a hop, skip, and a jump from these solar panels on the 160 project. Part of the reason we don't hear about Kelly Station so much is because you can't see it from
You
anywhere.
don't see it from 80
You
acres.
can see it from Kelly Station, actually. They put it right on the bank.
Yeah, so we can manipulate that stuff a little bit, because one of the biggest complaints is that you can see this 160 project from miles
Cut the
away.
trees right to the edge of the
There's things
bank.
we can do, give us some time, let us work on it, take out battery storage. Our solar law has no significant penalties. If they violate our solar law, the only thing Tom Perini can do and Doug Cole can do is say you have to stop working. And the solar company will say that
Yeah.
okay, that's nice, we're gonna keep working. We need real penalties in
You
here.
need
to
teeth and
accommodate-
escrow.
Anthony Torrey suggested putting in like a fee
Yeah.
or something, and some kind of fine if they do that, where that's gonna stop anymore. So I mean, I do think, I don't think we have to, and we're all gonna look at this after, so if this is
Right.
outrageous, if the committee goes together and it looks absolutely outrageous, look, we get scared, we can have them change stuff, and we don't have to.
What do you think, Doug?
Doug's a farmer, he owns
Don't
land.
do any of it. We already paid to have a lot.
We didn't pay.
Well, the other-
Solar company paid.
It's all
When we put the
Town paid
law
zero.
in, we paid an attorney in Buffalo.
Town of Princetown paid $0. The solar company paid $6,200 to
Right.
draft our 2-page solar law.
But we went through all this back then, and now all of a sudden you're telling me it's no good. So now, 2 years down the road, you're gonna do what you wanna do, and then you're gonna say 2 years from now, you're gonna change it again, right?
5 years, a lot has changed in 5 years
I
in
mean,
solar.
what happened is two projects came into the planning board, I'm speaking as someone who sits on the planning board. You know, two projects came, we saw what happened with that, we saw, you know, everybody came and complaining about how it really wasn't what we signed up for, basically, with, you know, just, you know, the trucks going through the tunnel and, everything else that happened on 160. So, you know, those two projects were basically a learning experience where the law is very good. It's, you know, we're not sitting, nobody's saying that the law is bad, it's just after seeing these two projects come in and what went wrong, what can we do to make the future projects to be a little bit better, run more smoothly, and have less complaints when it's going up. That's all that the moratorium's gonna do, is just gonna let this committee just go through it, add whatever they gotta add, and then, you know, next project, go around, because obviously there's gonna be more that are gonna be coming in. And it's just gonna have a little bit more guidance, so maybe there won't be as many issues next time.
I redlined yours for free, Mr. Craig.
What's that?
I said I redlined your solar code for free.
There's also no harm in doing the moratorium. It's not going to be the end of the world if we put a moratorium in place.
We already said that.
Okay, well, then let's do
And then you'll
it.
just, it'll be the town's due diligence to show everybody that we're trying to,
Make a resolution.
yes.
I do have a copy. Sorry, I only have 5. You'll have to share one with Lou, but, oh no, you know what? That's not true. I do have another one.
Is that what you guys want to do?
Let me see, hold on. So this is a resolution that calls for a public hearing for a solar moratorium, because it has to be a local law, you need to have a public hearing. That's all this resolution is to have a public hearing at the December meeting. And then you would vote at the December meeting on a local law putting in the moratorium.
Is that the way we do it?
Yeah, just like we did for the.
Well, he already emailed me on this, that this looks good. I don't have the actual law, I'll need help with that from somebody.
Is the time on here? 6 months?
Yeah.
So this is just going to
Resolution
the
of board.
public hearing?
And
Well, that's how you.
Yeah, we have to come here.
now, before we do that, I did get 2 emails from people, and I meant to read it during privileges of the floor, but I forgot. So let me just read these quick, because I told them I would. This is Shelley Haller, I think is how you pronounce her name, on Scotch Ridge Road. She wrote, "I'm writing to you because I cannot attend this November's meeting to discuss a moratorium on solar farm laws. I am in full support of establishing a moratorium. I am a resident on Scotch Ridge Road and also an owner of a fruit and tree," it's got cut off.
Farm.
Farm. This, I cut off some of this, sorry. "I would like our town to proceed with deliberate caution in assessing the long-term effects of solar and battery components. I also question the eagerness of many people to embrace solar farming in our area. Latitude with such," some of this got cut off. "So I have concerns that they will not act in the best interest of our residents and lands. Please let us," got cut off. "And waste fire safety and longevity and efficiency of a solar farm." I don't know why this email did that, sorry about that. I have another one from Ryan DeBrino on Rhinex Corners Road. "Supervisor Esposito and town board members, I'm writing to the town board today asking that you seriously consider placing a moratorium on any large-scale solar projects and battery storage systems in Princetown. Neighboring communities have already taken steps such as this and that will allow them to revisit and update laws to ensure future projects are properly regulated. They are also mandating that the necessary time is taken to examine any and all possible long-term effects. As you know, much of Princetown is a rural community. Allowing solar project development to continue without thoughtful regulation will diminish the town's character that so many generations of families with roots here have made it a priority to preserve. It will decrease the amount of farmable land and negatively impact home values. I have major concerns in particular over the decommissioning of solar panels and the environmental impact of disposing of them when they reach their life expectancy. Furthermore, battery storage systems which contain lithium-ion batteries have the potential to ignite major fires that we have seen across New York recently, the towns of Lyme, Warwick, and East Hampton, for example. It is my understanding that our local fire and emergency personnel do not have the necessary training or resources to easily manage these types of complicated emergencies. The Daily Gazette editorial board recently expressed their support for a moratorium after a report of 3 Newark fires were caused by battery energy storage. Additionally, the governor has called for a special task force to investigate safety concerns related to battery storage facilities. Health and public safety should be a top issue for every level of government. Historically, moratoriums tend to be favored by one side of the political aisle or the other. However, this is clearly not the issue here. If state government is looking into their safety, shouldn't Princetown put a moratorium in place immediately until more information is available? The concerns stated here absolutely warrant pumping the brakes to re-examine and update any necessary laws and codes to reflect community input and the input of experts in this field. Allowing more time can only prove to benefit our community and potentially prevent an unnecessary tragedy from taking place. I hope others will express their support for the moratorium. Thank you all for your time and consideration. I got to read those earlier.
Do you care if I have those for Crystal? For
These?
copy? Yeah, just so
So
she
you don't have to make a copy.
So what you just read is what everybody said here all night.
Yeah,
So what's the big deal?
They emailed me, I wanted to read them. I didn't want to, leave them out.
Bear in mind, there is one other party that's being left out of this whole conversation, and that's the landowner. And I'm a firm believer in limited government. I don't believe that government has the right to tell a landowner 100% what he can and can't do with his property. So that comes into the thinking a little bit too. I don't own 100 acres. My house is on 5 acres, so none of this affects me. But if you own 100, 200, 300, 400 acres, the town really doesn't have the right to unilaterally tell you, you know what, we don't want you doing anything with your property that we don't want.
You just passed a moratorium for 4 months for
Privilege of the
something
floor
else.
over.
Oh,
Privilege
sorry.
of the floor over.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll make the motion on this that I handed out. This is for the public hearing for a moratorium on solar.
You wanna read it, Ben?
You want me- Yeah, I can read it. Commercial solar moratorium. Whereas the town board of the town of Princetown understands the original commercial solar law was drafted 5 years ago, and new knowledge and information has become available in that time. Whereas the town board of the town of Princetown has reviewed concerns related to the current ongoing commercial solar projects within the town, and upon review of the town's current solar law determines a need for additional parameters and revisions to the law. Whereas the town board desires to review this matter and in the meantime desires to enact a temporary moratorium on any commercial solar applications until such review is completed. Whereas the town board hopes to revise our solar law to best suit the needs of Princetown residents and first responders. Whereas the town board understands that the current commercial law allows unregulated battery energy storage systems and wishes to separate commercial solar from battery storage. Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Princetown hereby calls for a public hearing to be held on the 12th day of December 2023 at a regular meeting of the town board at 165 Princetown Plaza beginning at 7 p.m. for the purpose of hearing public comment on a proposed local law to enact a moratorium on the review of town solar laws, said moratorium for consideration, if enacted, to expire 6 months from the date of enactment. It would be the same as what's in this now. We wouldn't know the changes until we start working on it. It would be similar to what you guys had. We didn't have the zoning, the home. Because we didn't have that's in this agenda today for the, okay. Be it also resolved that the town clerk shall give legal notice in the Daily Gazette of this public hearing at least 5 days prior to the public hearing. The public notice shall also be posted on the town's website at least 5 days prior to the public hearing.
I would like to add to this over here. After the 6 months, I am not in favor of continuing moratoriums because we'd only be challenged on that. Rotterdam's gonna get challenged on theirs. So if you can't get it done in 6 months, for me, you can get it done a lot quicker than this, but 6 months.
Dwaynesburg had a solar law, took a year. Rotterdam had a solar law, took a year. 6 months is actually probably too short. We'll cross that bridge.
I think you can get this done in
Just going with the precedent that's out there. Dwaynesburg took a year, Rotterdam took a year. These are local municipalities.
Yeah, but they didn't have a solar law.
Yes, they did not. Yes, Rotterdam had a solar law.
So did Dwaynesburg.
So did Dwaynesburg. They had laws in place. They took a year to update them. We talked, he said 6 months, fine. We'll do our best in 6 months. We'll probably be okay. I just don't, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna get myself in trouble.
Okay, you wanna vote on this or not?
I made the motion, Nicole seconded, so we have to vote on it.
Well, thanks for letting me know that.
Okay, Councilmember Pavoldi?
Yeah, before I vote, I will say that, I don't have any problem with doing 6 months, looking at our solar law. But I definitely don't want to make it so restrictive that we're inviting litigation, because the taxpayer has to be protected by us. So with that, I will vote yes for the hearing.
Councilman Jack Russo?
Yes?
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passes. Okay.
I have another council member concern not related to solar.
Okay.
I read the natural resource inventory and it's good, so I don't know what our next step is supposed to be, but I did read it.
Needs to get on the agenda for the town board to vote. To approve it, so it can go on the website.
Yeah, because it's in our law that it's supposed to be in the comprehensive plan. Is that included?
I keep going back to the law of 1975, when there wasn't a comprehensive plan, it just said that we had to have an inventory.
Okay, so we just need an inventory posted online.
Well, nowadays we post it online.
Okay, so.
You're supposed to just have one.
Yeah, all right, good. That's it.
Everybody, you read it too, Jim, didn't you?
Yeah,
I read it.
all right.
Okay. Okay, we've got to go into executive session, discuss a personnel matter. Is there hereby resolved that the town board enters into an executive session at 8:34?
I'll second.
Call.
Councilman Bavoli?
Yes.
Councilman Gianfranco?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yeah.
Councilmember Mora? Yes. Supervisor Esposito?
Yes, resolution passed. Okay, thank you all for coming.
Come back for the next meeting.